Post currency collapse. You will have rich crash outs, those who were ruled by their money and feel dispossessed by the Trump tariffs. They will fight the diehard Trump supporters, which will be less and less. Racism is really dumb, but downright stupid without financial privilege, which is the cornerstone of white privilege. Abroad, the American visa will not hold the same weight. The expats may not feel safe in a world where there aren't more overseas bases in the world. Overseas bases in the world than we have states, maybe even cities in America. International corporations might actually be forced to pick a side. Manufacturing in China is untenable. They cannot justify their margins or their corporate salaries. Their go-to is to end the business instead of paying what they owe or bringing shipping jobs back to the States. They would rather take their ball, their money, and go home, unwilling to play any game not rigged in their favor. When these megacorps collapse from what built them, their insatiable greed of their owners, there will be a scramble to escape with the money into a world no longer hospitable to the rich and formerly powerful. Not to mention that the rich is the rich are reactive. Being rich in a collapsing and hyperinflation currency is not really rich. They will have to sell luxury goods for a stronger currency because no one will accept these dollars. This will naturally drive down the price of these luxury items. Because rich or formerly rich do everything at the same time, waiting on a consensus from their financial advisor and their lawyers before making a decision, and having to pay these people in gold or precious metals. Jewelry will force a rush to the exit that will create a huge supply of luxury goods and real estate up for grabs. Many believe that they will be able to sell this real estate to outside parties, but I tend to remind people that the reason people immigrate to the United States is because of a strong currency and a dominant position in the world. They come here to work, to make money. Without said incentive, there's no reason to buy said real estate. Not to mention, the outside world, outside of the US, has turned in on itself and is more focused on its own development. I think, better yet say, I know that the focus will not be living in America. It will be trying to move out of America, which will naturally make the real estate collapse. The real estate market had a reason to collapse outside of currency collapse and dispossession of the wealthy. It was hyperinflated for the sake of the home builder, Toll Brothers and the monopolistic home builders who were mainly building luxury condos, luxury apartments, and luxury homes, while the majority of the public needed starter homes and first apartments, will suffer a capitalist fate, which is a collapse from the inside. The money dries up, they fire everyone, and you have smaller home builders fill in the gap. building actually affordable homes, and not the made in China bullshit. Sorry, boy, it's crazy. But yeah, the pre-manufactured homes or anything of that sort, because those are made in China using exploitative labor, which will no longer be accessible when your currency isn't strong. You're the exploited labor. Or ideally, that's what they want to intend, but these things don't move that fast. So, I know that a lot of the Trump supporters and the Republicans have this grandiose idea that jobs and manufacturing will come back to the United States, but if you listen to the corporate elite and what they're saying, they're not willing to give up exploiting the third world to make cheap or relatively cheap products for the first world. It destroys their position on top. If they were to hire people that live next to them, they'd have to show those people respect. They would have to allow them to unionize and deal with their complaints, and they wouldn't feel like lords over a manor, which is how they feel now, and it's kind of the whole reason that they do what it is that they do. The other thing coming is age discrepancy. The elderly have maintained the status quo as long as they could keep their cold, dying hands on it. But as they die, especially once the shock of the currency not being supportive of them and realizing that their retirement was more of a fever dream than a reality, they will simply go off into that cold, dark night, sad and alone, and be replaced by what essentially is their worst nightmare, especially for Republicans, especially for anyone that has a capitalist mindset. The people who will replace the elderly people that we have in government are going to be the most virulent of the protest era, because they have the most amount of clout and they have the most amount of bona fides and trust of the general public and the internet that they're going to do the policies that they intend to do. So we're talking walkable cities, massive public transit, rent control, or outright socialism and communism, or a blend between the two, strata between the two. Honestly, I see more of a tribal form of government where every local area is essentially ran by its own essential group of people who see like-minded ways. It's almost as if we took the states and made them into the tables at the lunchroom, where Ohio is for the goths and New Hampshire's for the geeks and New York is for the bullies or whatever. Like, when you have a really strong centralized group or structure, when it collapses, it falls into decentralization, where smaller groups have more power and organize themselves and essentially distrust any centralized power. So power is held amongst the many in disproportionate groups spread across large swaths of land and developing independently, but uniformly, in the sense that they're not trying to essentially change their neighbors. Evangelism is one of the diseases of capitalism and colonialism that essentially died first, really. Like, you don't even now, when you walk around, you don't see Jehovah's Witness knocking on people's doors. You don't have people ask you, do you think Jesus is your Lord and Savior? Because it's questionable, especially during Corona, whether or not Christians really believe Jesus is their Lord and Savior. I would